Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is R.S. Raghu bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate first Global Buddhist Summit in New Delhi on Thursday. New Delhi collaborates with various countries and UN to ensure safety of Indian nationals in conflict-hit Sudan. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh asserts Indian Army is capable of dealing with any contingency along northern borders in view of current situation. India and Canada agree to work on taking defence relationship to next level and make defence an important pillar of bilateral relationship. Government of India approves National Quantum Mission, allocates over 6,000 crore rupees. United Nations to withdraw from Afghanistan in view of Taliban's restrictions on women. And in IPL cricket, Lucknow Super Giants set a victory target of 155 runs for Rajasthan Royals at Savai Man Singh Stadium in Jaipur. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the first Global Buddhist Summit in New Delhi on Thursday. The Ministry of Culture, in collaboration with International Buddhist Confederation, will host the two-day summit. Eminent scholars, Sangh leaders, and Dharma practitioners from all over the world will attend the conference. The theme of the summit is Responses to Contemporary Challenges, Philosophy to Praxis. Delegates from about 30 countries will participate in the event, and around 171 delegates from foreign countries and 150 delegates from Indian Buddhist organizations will take part. The prime vision of the summit is to look into the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha that have been continuously enriched over the centuries with the practice of Buddhism. For the first time, prominent Buddhist monks from various countries will visit India and take part in the summit. The discussions will be held on how to deal with contemporary challenges with the help of Buddhist philosophy and thought. This global summit will mark the significance and importance of India in Buddhism, as Buddhism was born in India. The summit will also be a medium to enhance the cultural and diplomatic relationships with other countries. Apple CEO Tim Cook on Wednesday met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. In a tweet, he thanked Mr. Modi for the warm welcome. He said Apple shares the Prime Minister's vision of the positive impact that technology can make on India's future, from education and developers to manufacturing and the environment. The CEO added that his company is committed to growing and investing across the country. Responding to it, Mr. Modi said he is glad to exchange views on diverse topics and highlight the tech-powered transformations taking place in India. The meeting took place a day after the launch of Apple's first retail store in Mumbai. India is collaborating with various countries and the United Nations to ensure the safety of its nationals in the conflict-ridden Sudan. Government sources said the quartet countries of US, UK, Saudi Arabia and UAE have a key role, and efforts are being made to engage them accordingly. The sources also said that External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has spoken with his counterparts in Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Both the countries have assured practical support on the ground. The government has established a dedicated control room in New Delhi to assist the Indian nationals in Sudan. The embassy in Khartoum is in constant touch with the Indian community through multiple methods, including WhatsApp groups. However, due to security concerns, no specific details of the individuals have been shared. Sources have informed that the situation on the streets in Sudan is very tense and movement is very risky at this stage. At least 200 people have been killed and 1,800 injured in 3 days of fighting between rival factions in the African country. The overall death toll could be much higher because clashes in Khartoum have prevented the removal of bodies in some areas. The violence erupted on Saturday between the forces of two generals who seized power in a 2021 coup, Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his deputy Mohammad Hamdan Daglo, who commands the paramilitary rapid support forces. The outbreak of violence over the weekend has trapped millions of people in their homes while supplies are running low in several areas. The Government of India has approved the National Quantum Mission to accelerate quantum technology-led economic growth and leverage India into a leading nation in the sector. A decision in this regard was taken at a Union Cabinet meeting in New Delhi on Wednesday. Addressing media after the meeting, Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur said that the Quantum Mission has been approved at a total cost of over 6,000 crore rupees for a period from 2023-24 to 2030-31.
नेशनल क्वांटम मिशन के लिए मंजूरी आदरणीय मोदी जी की सरकार ने दी है। उनकी अध्यक्षता में कैबिनेट मिली। 6,003 करोड़ रुपए का इसका बजट का प्रावधान किया गया है। इस पे कुल मिलाकर लागत आएगी 2023-24 से 2030-31 तक का इसका समय सीमा है और ये देश को नई ऊंचाइयों पर ले जाने वाला एक ऐसा निर्णय है जो एक बार फिर प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में हुआ।
Elaborating more on the National Quantum Mission, Union Minister for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh said that the mission will give India a quantum jump in the world arena. He added that there are at present 6 countries, including the USA, Canada and France, which are having quantum technology.
This National Quantum Mission is going to give India a quantum jump in the world arena. There are only 6 countries so far who have this technology. They are Finland, Austria, France. They are also in the R&D stage. None of them has actually started the application of it, and therefore we are also going to be at par.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has expressed confidence that the Indian Army is capable of dealing with any contingency along the northern borders in view of the current situation. Without naming China, he, however, said that the ongoing talks for peaceful resolution will continue and disengagement and de-escalation is the best way forward. Mr. Singh stated this while addressing the ongoing first edition of the biannual Army Commanders Conference in New Delhi on Wednesday. He said that the Indian Army has played a stellar role in guarding the country's borders and fighting terrorism apart from providing assistance to the civil administration. The minister complimented the efforts of Border Road Organization, which has led to the major improvement of road communication in the borders, both western and northern, while working under difficult conditions. He said the Army's contribution is applaudable in every domain from security, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief and medical assistance to maintaining the stable internal situation in the country. The minister said the role of Indian Army is very important in nation building as also in the overall national development. India and Canada have agreed to work on taking the defence relationship to the next level and make defence an important pillar of bilateral relationship. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Wednesday held telephonic conversation with his Canadian counterpart Anita Anand. The two leaders discussed ways to develop bilateral defence relations which will be reflective of their democratic ethos and shared interest in the peace and security of the Indo-Pacific. Mr. Singh welcomed increased Canadian naval presence in the Indo-Pacific. Both ministers also discussed potential areas of defence cooperation from UN peacekeeping training to defence industrial cooperation. Mr. Singh highlighted India as an attractive defence manufacturing destination with competitive land and labour costs and 2 defence industrial corridors. He also invited Canadian defence companies to invest in India and carry out co-production. Ms. Anita Anand briefed him about Canada's Indo-Pacific strategy and the importance attached to enhancing engagement with India. India's Home Minister Amit Shah will chair a meeting of head of departments of member states of Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO) in New Delhi on Thursday, dealing with prevention and elimination of emergency situations. During the meeting, the delegates from SCO member states will share information relating to the large-scale emergency situations which occurred in their territories and the measures taken to handle them. The delegates will also share their views on the innovative practices, technologies and future prospects for cooperation in the field of prevention and elimination of emergency situations within the framework of the SCO. Based on these deliberations, the member states will enhance cooperation in the field of preparedness, emergency response and jointly mitigate the impact arising out of natural and man-made disasters within the framework of the SCO. The participants will also discuss and approve the action plan for implementation of the agreement between the SCO member states on cooperation in providing assistance in the elimination of emergency situation in 2023-24. 2025. On the sidelines of the SCO meeting, Mr. Shah will also hold bilateral meetings with the ministers of some of the SCO member states. The second meeting of the G20 Digital Economy Working Group DEWG concluded in Hyderabad on Wednesday. About 100 delegates deliberated upon issues like digital skilling, digital public infrastructure and cyber security in digital economy at length during the three-day meeting. A multi-stakeholder workshop was held on mutual recognition framework on digital skills besides three thematic sessions held as a part of the side events. The delegates discussed topics like high-speed mobile broadband and its impacts, digital inclusion, connecting the unconnected, and sustainable green digital infrastructure, challenges and opportunities in detail. An official release stated that the best practices and new initiatives were shared during the sessions. Initiatives especially related to financial inclusion and universal digital healthcare and their impacts in India were highlighted. The 100th G20 meeting under India's G20 presidency, the meeting of Agricultural Chief Scientists MACS on Sustainable Agriculture and Food System for Healthy People and Planet, concluded successfully at Varanasi on Wednesday. They unanimously agreed to launch the Millet Initiative Maharishi, which was proposed by India for research in the field of millets. Maharishi stands for Millets and Other Ancient Grains International Research Initiative. Its secretariat will be housed at Indian Institute of Millets Research IIMR, Hyderabad, with technical support from ICRI SAT, 1 CGIAR centers and other international organizations. The discussions on the 3 days were focused on innovations and technological interventions for agri-systems transformation, frontiers in science and technology for achieving food security and nutrition, biofortification in food crops for enhancing nutritional value, tropical seaweed farming for nutrition, and blue growth Maharishi, among other issues. The meeting adopted Chair Summary cum Outcome document focusing on major area of cooperation in agricultural research and development for food security and nutrition, digital agriculture, resilient agri-food systems and public-private partnership in agricultural R&D. On the sidelines of G20 MAX, bilateral meetings were held with France, United Kingdom, Argentina and Germany for future collaboration in agricultural research. The bilateral meeting was also held with Food and Agricultural Organization, Rome, Italy. On the first day of the two-day G20 conference on the Research, Innovation and Initiatives Assembly RIIG on eco-innovations for energy transition in Dharamshala on Wednesday, deliberations were held on sharing best practices and policy models of G20 countries for sustainable energy transition. Secretary in the Department of Science and Technology, Dr. Srivari Chandrasekhar, presided over the meeting. Speaking on the occasion, Dr. Chandrasekhar called for prioritizing transition from fossil fuel consumption. He stated that the potential for harnessing renewable energies is great enough to meet requirements, but capturing, converting and storing them on a large scale requires a monumental effort which can be accomplished by working together. 29 foreign delegates and 30 Indian experts and invitees from various scientific departments or organizations of Government of India participated in the conference. J&K Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has said that Jammu has become a hub of premier educational institutions like IIT and IIM. He was addressing the inaugural session of the Youth 20 Consultation on Peace Building at University of Jammu on Wednesday. Mr. Sinha said that today India, under the guidance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is truly playing its role of Vishwaguru and the whole world is seeing a new hope in India. He said that today's youth is coming up with innovative solutions to big challenges. Mr. Sinha said youth is playing an important role in new sectors today, whether it is Global North or Global South. Talking about J&K, the Lieutenant Governor said that almost 45,000 people lost their lives due to terrorism. But today, the whole world is saying that after August 2019, a new Jammu and Kashmir is taking shape. He said every second day a new startup is being registered in J&K. He said that now when the whole world is reeling under the challenges of climate change, it is looking forward towards India for getting innovative solutions. And now in today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on India hosts 100th G20 meeting.
India celebrated a significant milestone this Monday, that is 17th April 2023, when it hosted the 100th G20 meeting, the meeting of Agricultural Chief Scientists or MACS in Varanasi. The G20 is a group of 19 countries and the European Union that represent around 85% of the global GDP, over 75% of the global trade, and about 2/3 of the world population. The G20 summit is held annually under the leadership of a rotating presidency. India took over the presidency of the G20 on the 1st of December 2022, and its year-long tenure will continue till November 2023. The G20 presidency steers the G20 agenda for 1 year and hosts the summit. The theme of India's G20 presidency, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, or One Earth, One Family, One Future, is drawn from the ancient Sanskrit text of the Maha Upanishad. Essentially, the theme affirms the value of all life, human, animal, plant and microorganisms, and their interconnectedness on the planet Earth and in the wider universe. The theme also spotlights life, that is lifestyle for environment, with its associated environmentally sustainable and responsible choices, both at the level of individual lifestyles as well as national development, leading to globally transformative actions resulting in a cleaner, greener and bluer future. For India, the G20 presidency also marks the beginning of Amrit Kal, the 25-year period beginning from the 75th anniversary of its independence on 15th August 2022, leading up to the centenary of its independence towards a futuristic, prosperous, inclusive and developed society distinguished by a human-centric approach at its core. India's G20 presidency has among the largest ever in-person participation, with over 12,300 delegates from over 110 nationalities attending G20-related meetings so far. The G20 meetings have been held in 41 cities, covering 28 states and union territories, and India will host foreign delegates for over 200 G20-related meetings in around 60 cities across India, making it the widest geographical spread in any G20 presidency. During India's presidency, all 13 Sherpa track working groups, 8 finance track work streams, 11 engagement groups and 4 initiatives have embarked on substantive interactions. A new working group on disaster risk reduction, DRR, a new engagement group, Start of 20, and a new initiative, Chief Science Advisors Roundtable, CSAR, have been operationalized. India is also amplifying the voice and concerns of the Global South and developing countries. The Voice of Global South Summit, held in January 2023, chaired by the Prime Minister, was attended by 125 countries, including 18 at the heads of state or government level and others at the ministerial level. Furthermore, during India's ongoing presidency, participation from Africa is the highest ever, which includes South Africa, Mauritius, Egypt, Nigeria, AU Chair Comoros and AUDA Nepal. Substantive deliberations during India's ongoing G20 presidency comprise broad priority areas such as inclusive and resilient growth, progress on SDGs, green development and lifestyle for environment or life, technological transformation and public digital infrastructure, reforming multilateral institutions, women-led development, and international peace and harmony. The G20 meetings have concluded with substantive outcome documents that fostered consensus on G20's shared priorities. These include consensus on setting up an expert group on multilateral development bank reforms and on debt treatment in the first Finance Ministers' Central Bank Governors meeting, and on multilateral reforms, development cooperation, food and energy security, counter-terrorism, new and emerging threats, global skill mapping and disaster risk reduction in the foreign ministers' meeting. India's G20 presidency is not just focused on substantive deliberations, but also on showcasing India's diversity, inclusive traditions and cultural richness. Millet-based dishes have been incorporated into the menu, and a wide range of cultural performances and excursions have been organized. Over 150 cultural events with the participation of over 7,000 artists showcasing local and national art forms have been held. Many Jan Bhagidari activities are also being simultaneously held with active public participation in a whole of nation and whole of society approach, making India's G20 presidency a people's G20. India's G20 presidency has been a remarkable journey so far, marked by large-scale participation, substantive deliberations, and showcasing India's diversity and cultural richness. The G20 meetings have fostered consensus on shared priorities with a focus on inclusive and resilient growth, progress on SDGs, and reforming multilateral institutions, among others. India's G20 presidency is being widely applauded and has received immense support from G20 members and guest countries for its inclusive, ambitious, action-oriented, and decisive agenda.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. The United Nations has said it is ready to withdraw from Afghanistan in May if it cannot convince the Taliban to permit local women to work for the organization. The head of the UN Development Programme UNDP said the UN is negotiating with the Taliban in hopes that it will make exceptions to a decree prohibiting local women from working for the organization. UNDP Administrator Akin Steiner said it is fair to say that UN may have to take a step back and re-evaluate the ability of the UN system to operate in Afghanistan. But it is not about negotiating fundamental principles, human rights. The UN recently expressed serious concerns after the Afghan female UN staff members were banned from reporting to work in the eastern province of Afghanistan, Nangarhar. The Taliban, since it came to power in Afghanistan in August 2021, has imposed bans on women and girls, preventing them from education and employment. The United Nations has said that the number of Afghans in poverty nearly doubled to 34 million as the nation was racked by the collapse of the US-backed government and the Taliban takeover. The United Nations Development Programme UNDP on Tuesday released a stark new assessment of 2022 data estimating 34 million Afghans were living below the poverty line. It said vast foreign subsidies were halted and aid programs dramatically cut back after the US-backed republic fell in 2021 as many countries refused to deal with the Taliban authorities in Kabul. A report released by the United Nations has showed that India is set to overtake China as the world's most populous nation with almost 3 million more people than its neighbor by the middle of this year. According to State of World Population Report of the United Nations Population Funds, India's population by mid-year is estimated at 1.4286 billion against 1.4257 billion for China, 2.9 million fewer. The United States is a distant third with an estimated population of 340 million as of the end of June. The data showed in a report that reflects information available until February. In Canada, more than 155,000 Canadian public sector workers went on strike on Wednesday after failing to secure a wage agreement with the federal government. The Public Service Alliance of Canada, PSAC, union said contract negotiations would continue even as it called for its members working for the Treasury Board and the Canada Revenue Agency to go on strike at midnight. The PSAC further stated its members would form picket lines at 250 locations across the country. The contract negotiations encompass two major groups of personnel, 120,000 Treasury Board employees and more than 35,000 Revenue Agency employees. The strike will affect various federal services and may cause tax refunds to be delayed because it occurs during tax filing season. A search and rescue operation is going on for Anurag Malu, an Indian climber who fell in deep crevices on Mount Annapurna, the 10th highest mountain in the world. Anurag went missing after he fell down from around 6,000 meters while descending from Camp 3 on Monday. He was climbing the summit to raise awareness for sustainable development goals. Local Sherpas have descended to conduct a ground search, and a helicopter with a carbon oxide detector is deployed for the search operation. Meanwhile, two Indian climbers, Baljit Kaur and Arjun Vajpayee, who went missing Monday night in Mount Annapurna at 8,091 meters, were rescued by Nepali rescuers. In IPL cricket, Lucknow Super Giants have set a victory target of 155 runs for Rajasthan Royals at Savai Mansingh Stadium in Jaipur. Lucknow Super Giants scored 154 runs for the loss of 7 wickets in stipulated 20 overs. In reply, Rajasthan Royals were 104 for 3 in 15 overs when reports last came in. Earlier, Rajasthan won the toss and elected to field. The key domestic indices today witnessed modest losses for the third session in a row. The BSE Sensex closed below the 59,600 mark, while the NSE Nifty settled near the 17,600 level. Both stocks were down amid negative global cues. Gold also slipped below 60,000 rupees per 10-gram mark for June contracts at MCX. A report from the business desk.
Sensex declined by 159 points, a 0.27% to finish at 59,568. Nifty at the National Stock Exchange also fell by 41 points, a 0.23% to settle at 17,619. Asia shares are mixed. Singapore Straits Times Index gained 0.4% and South Korea's Kospi rose by 0.2%. On the other hand, Hong Kong's Hang Seng declined 1.4%, China's Shanghai Composite fell 0.7% and Japan's Nikkei 225 slipped 0.2%. European shares were down in intraday trade. Oil prices plunged around 2%. Crude fell as potential U.S. interest rate hikes outweighed strong Chinese economic data and falling U.S. inventories. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at around $83.10 per barrel. Back home, the gold prices at the multi-commodity exchange for June contracts was trading at around 59,880 rupees per 10 grams. Silver was trading at around 74,970 rupees per kilogram. For May contracts in the foreign exchange market, the rupee closed at 82 rupees and 23 paise against the US currency. Arjun Chaudhary for World News, All India Radio.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The New York Times reports airstrikes hit Khartoum airport as civilians reel from clashes. The Guardian writes civilians flee Khartoum as ceasefire fails to hold. The Globe and Mail reports Florida Education Board to vote on expanding ban on gender identity lessons. Le Monde writes Macron booed on first trip in France since signing pension reform into law. The Straits Times writes WHO warns COVID-19 pandemic still volatile. The Wall Street Journal reports North Korea set to launch military spy satellite. The Financial Times report Germany to bolster army with upgrade of 143 Puma infantry fighting vehicles. And now, a quick look at the headlines once again. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate first Global Buddhist Summit in New Delhi on Thursday. New Delhi collaborates with various countries and UN to ensure safety of Indian nationals in conflict-hit Sudan. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh asserts Indian Army is capable of dealing with any contingency along northern borders in view of current situation. India and Canada agree to work on taking defence relationship to next level and make defence an important pillar of bilateral relationship. Government of India approves National Quantum Mission, allocates over 6,000 crore rupees. United Nations to withdraw from Afghanistan in view of Taliban's restrictions on women. And in IPL cricket, Lucknow Super Giants set a victory target of 155 runs for Rajasthan Royals at Savai Mansingh Stadium in Jaipur. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan Vaishnav Jan by artists from Tunisia.
वैष्णव जना तो तेने कायज पीर पराई जाने रे वैष्णव जना तो तेने कायज पीर पराई जाने रे पार दुख उपकार करे तुए माने अभिमानी नाने रे वैष्णव जना तो देने कायज पीर पराई जाने रे
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.